The crypto markets, they've been exploding recently. We've seen Bitcoin up 55% from the April lows, Bitcoin dominance falling, ETH pushing all-time highs, and of course, alt season knocking on our door. And that is why I think you knowing about the Base ecosystem is very important, because when alt season eventually starts, which I think will happen sometime soon, I believe the group of coins I'll mention in this video will do very well. More specifically, these are my 4 top base altcoins of this coming bull market. Hang in tight. I know when you watch these videos, you want to skip to each of the 4 altcoins to figure out why I like each of them. Don't get me wrong, you're going to have that in just a moment, but a lot of people like to skip over what I want to explain over the next few minutes, which I think is very important before I mention the coins themselves, and that is why I think the base ecosystem and the altcoins are what's called asymmetric bets, meaning the upside potential to profit is greatly outnumbering the possible downside. And I want to do that by comparing Base to its most obvious competitor from the previous cycle. I'm talking, of course, about the Binance ecosystem. Now, I think in comparison to the Binance ecosystem, all right, where Base is this asymmetric bet where we have high upside, limited downside, I think the Binance ecosystem in this bull run is more 50-50. Okay, it's more of a symmetrical bet. As we know, the crypto market, first of all, is going to expand a lot in this bull run. If we look at Grok and we look at ChatGPT's responses to my questions about how far can we go, essentially anywhere from 8 to 14 trillion, with Grok going right in the middle at around 12 trillion. The reason I say this is because all of the information you're about to see regarding Base versus Binance, consider Binance in the previous cycle did exceptionally well, given the fact that total market cap went to 3 trillion. So what we're looking at here is a possible global market that is 3 to 4 times larger than 2021. Now, just to point out, I'm not trying to take Binance and crap all over it, comparing it to Base, but I'm just trying to show you the true asymmetric bet we have with Coinbase and its ecosystem. And I think one of the most important things is the fact that we don't actually have a token for Base. So what I'm sort of saying here is that the Binance Smart Chain actually has a token, right? BNB is the token for that layer 1 itself. The issue with this is a lot of money that wants to speculate on the Binance ecosystem will just buy the BNB token. There's a reason why it's 100 billion market cap right now. And in the previous cycle, it went from like a 3 to 4 billion market cap to 100 billion market cap as well. Again, Base doesn't have that. Base is also much younger versus the much older 6-year-old Binance chain. So this gives not only the possibility where new money that wants to buy into the Base ecosystem, they want to just go straight and buy the top applications, right, the top projects on Base, but also it's a newer project, meaning there's more buzz, there's no stopping points, and essentially it's just got more hype about it. The next thing is the active users as well, guys. If you have a look, Binance Chain is the #1 active by user count chain in all of crypto by a long shot. 4.3 million. Solana's the next highest at 3.7 million. But Base does make the top 10 here at around spot number 6. Okay, so it's 1.2 million daily active users. But I wanted to point out in the previous cycle, assessing the Binance Smart Chain's active users, around the high of that cycle, it was at 1.3 million. So we have almost the same as the all-time high of the Binance Smart Chain in the heat of the bull market for the active users right now for Base. Again, remember, in addition to this, we also have no Base token. So all of the demand coming through from Base, it's going directly into the major ecosystem projects. The TPS is a pretty unimportant metric to look at, in my opinion, because this is no gauge right now in terms of the project doing well or not, considering both of these projects are doing around 100 transactions per second. If the Binance Smart Chain was doing 1,000 and Base was doing 1 transaction a second, that does lead some question marks, but they're so neck and neck, it really is unimportant to assess, but I thought I'd bring it to your attention. This chart here matters much more than TPS. This is actually looking into the ecosystem itself, and considering Base is a layer 2 on Ethereum and the Binance Smart Chain is a layer 1, okay, it's pretty important that we have a look at the ecosystems, because that's a true gauge into whether or not they are going to be good or not this cycle, right? Obviously, we know Base is going to be a hot ecosystem, but I'm just trying to show you for comparison's sake how large and how much adoption we may actually see here for these projects. So the Base TVL right now is sitting at just about 6 billion, while the TVL is about 9 billion for the BNB chain. However, the chain revenue is much more for Base right now versus the revenue for the BNB chain. So that may say something about, of course, the way in which they gain fees from people using Base itself. And that, of course, means more marketing, more growth, more people buying the Base ecosystem projects. Also, the DEX volume here is pretty interesting as well. 32 billion for Base, and we have 157 billion for the Binance Smart Chain. But again, just remember, this is pretty incredible considering the size difference between the two ecosystems. Base has 720 dApps, while the Binance Smart Chain has 5,801. So no kidding, BNB chain has more volume when it comes to the DEXs. If we total up every single ecosystem project that has more than $100,000 in fees for 30 days, it's interesting because we have a lot more here coming out on Base. By the way, this is isolated to just the ecosystem itself. So you're not going to have Uniswap here for the Binance Smart Chain being 2.9 million, the same as it is over here for Base at 15 million. Okay, so it's two different ecosystems, two different metrics. And so the total comes down to 48 million for Base and 86 million for the Binance Smart Chain. But you can see here it's much more diverse in Coinbase, which means people using Coinbase are spread across a lot more different projects, where it's very centralized here on Binance Smart Chain with about $80 million worth of fees coming through just one application. What does that mean? That means that on the BNB chain, we have one major project people are using, which actually is PancakeSwap, which is a DEX, which means what's likely happening here is we're seeing that people are using PancakeSwap to buy like small micro cap coins. Whereas you look at Base, and Base has far less projects, but yet we have a much nicer, wide variety of fees being generated on these applications, which can only mean one thing. It just simply means that we are seeing much more activity across a larger spectrum of coins. In my opinion, that's actually a much better sign than seeing what's happening with the BNB chain. It just means that the ecosystem is being used for many different things, not just simply for people buying micro caps through the DEX. But again, just keep in mind here for the third time, the common denominator is that we do not have a Base token. So any interest is actually, as we're seeing, coming through directly into the ecosystem projects itself. Now, here is the game-changing aspect for Base that Binance Smart Chain doesn't have, and which I think is going to really bring in so much interest for this ecosystem. It is the fact that we have roughly 1.1 billion expected users to come into crypto this bull run. We're already seeing around 10 million monthly active users right now in terms of Coinbase. So with this, we're going to have a lot of possible demand come through Coinbase, and these guys have now launched the Coinbase app. Okay, this app is kind of hectic. I could, it's not really live just yet. It's just in beta at the moment. It's planning to be launched very soon. If you actually have a look at what they're doing, it's a social network. You can trade any coin on it directly through it. You can even pay for things with USDC and get slight discounts and cashbacks for that as well. You can see here, you can just talk to people. It's pretty incredible. You can actually make money as a content creator as well. So you can see all the different applications for it. And what this is going to do is make a very seamless pathway for these new users, because it is quite a bit of a barrier to get into crypto. So this Coinbase app is, again, with already their 10 million monthly active users, a great gateway for new users as well into the ecosystem. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now complete with the intro into the Base ecosystem, why I think it is an asymmetric bet. Now, I'm going to actually get number 1 and number 2 projects out the way very quickly, because they're 2 I own. I've made full videos on both of these coins, and I do talk about them quite a lot in my top 5 Base videos when I do refresh this series. And that is Aerodrome and Morpho. Now, I like both of these. They might be a bit boring to you, but I will be very quick here. Essentially, Aerodrome is the number 1 de facto DEX, decentralized exchange on Base, and we have Morpho here being the de facto lending and borrowing platform on Base as well. Aerodrome is about 87 cents, and I do think the potential for this coin is quite high. First of all, if we have a look here at the market dominance sheet in the bull run cheat sheet, this is a 4 out of 4 on the score, which means it is dominating the market right now. It is performing very well in the ups and the downs, so that is very rare to come by. You don't find very many 4 out of 4s on that sheet. Also, if we have a look here at its main competitor from the previous cycle, it was actually Uniswap, and at all-time highs, it was a 30x away from this current price, and I do think it is a good contender for that. Now we have a look here at the active revenue for this coin in the last 30 days. You can see here it actually makes the top 10 in all of crypto. It's actually 4 times larger than Solana. So the revenue here for Aerodrome in the last 30 days was 4 million versus Solana being 1 million. Pretty incredible for, again, an ecosystem application on a brand new layer 2, which of course is Base. Now, some of these really important things that give me an indication I do think this coin goes to a similar market cap, if not even higher than Uniswap in the previous cycle, was because these guys are working heavily with Coinbase, as I mentioned, on these things called CB assets, which, the kind of long story short, when this application goes live, anyone that wants to buy any Base ecosystem project, like the small caps that aren't listed on Coinbase, maybe even the ones that aren't even in the Base ecosystem, they pretty much go directly through Aerodrome. So instantly, a lot of application there. I don't need to tell you why that's big. You have already an immediate 10 million monthly active users, plus any more that come in. You also do have Morpho as well. So Morpho's price is at $1.87. Just like Aerodrome, there's no major sticking points for price from the previous cycle. So we're looking at a raw, just simply needing to beat the bear market high of $4, like Aerodrome needs to beat about $2.20 to just go into massive price discovery, which I do think happens when we have alt season. The total TVL here is kind of crazy for Morpho. It's just under $9 billion. Its market cap to TVL ratio is around the 16x level. If you have a look at Morpho to the next closest coin from the previous cycle being Aave, it's a 13x away from highest. But look, Aave was an all-time high of an 8 billion market cap. We already have a 600 million market cap for Morpho. In my opinion, this is without a massive bull run. Okay, it's just rallied over the bear period. I think this coin has a long way to go, and I do think it does beat this, of course, this bull run. And just like Aerodrome, like I showed you in the diagram, these guys are working with Coinbase via the app to allow anyone using the app to simply borrow against their holdings. First of all, they're starting here with Bitcoin holdings. So yeah, kind of crazy stuff. Remember, they are backed by Coinbase as well. So, you know, when you see that, there is already a massive incentive for Coinbase to want to push the project, which is why they're doing this. Also backed by some major S-tier investors like Pantera, Fembushi, IOSG, A16Z, and so on. It's ranked 7 in the total crypto ecosystem, like globally. All right, it even beats Athena, Pendle, Sky. It even beats Uniswap here. It's crazy how much money is locked up in Morpho right now for how small the coin is. That is why, in amongst many others, you know, Aerodrome and also Morpho make number 1 and number 2 on this list. The next coin is a gaming coin, and what you'll notice with the rest of these coins is we've kind of covered DeFi. Now we're going into gaming, and soon it will also cover a layer 1. Yes, a layer 1 on Base. What the hell are you talking about, Kyron? Hang in tight. It's a very exciting coin, and also a tokenization project as well. But first of all, this gaming coin is super, super exciting. It's a very small cap, so you micro cap guys will love this. And the upside here, I think, is unparalleled, really. So we're having a look here at the gaming market cap, and you can see in the previous cycle that it was a 50 billion total market cap. That's kind of like the total market cap it peaked at the all-time high in the previous cycle. Now we compare that to like the biggest narrative in that cycle, which was actually meme coins. These guys went to 80 billion market cap. So why I'm showing you this is because gaming coins have actually done exceptionally well in the previous cycle. And on these two massive pumps we had in early 2024 and also late 2024, they've done very well as well. People think they're a sleeping narrative. At least I once did believe that. But as a matter of fact, on average, they're doing just fine. There's nothing crazy bad about gaming coins. So that's why having a look at this coin, which is our third pick, Medicaid. You can see Medicaid's chart here. It's actually done very well versus the market. Here's Medicaid's price in white and the altcoin market cap in blue. Every time the altcoin market cap's gone up, Medicaid has gone up just as much, of course, even more in some of these circumstances. And having a look at Medicaid versus other major, gaming coins, in green was these last two sort of alt rallies we had. You can see Medicaid in white actually outpaced them most of the time. So being a micro cap, yeah, it's like ready at the door to kick things off. It just needs alt season, true alt season, to really blow through whatever's kind of keeping the altcoin market down. Now, full disclosure, guys, I keep this 100% transparent. Medicaid is working with me as a partner to bring you this information in today's video. I have heavily researched Medicaid as well in the past. I just don't talk about microcaps all that much, but we are fastly approaching alt season at some point in the near future here. So for those of you who love microcaps, you may have huge upside potential, okay? These coins move very quickly, as you can see with Medicaid's price here. So Medicaid is a 25 million market cap project, and fundamentally, they are claiming to be the home of gaming of Base, right? And also AI. Now, these guys are interesting because if you actually have a look at the project, they don't have any VCs. They kicked things off way back in late 2022, so they've ridden through the whole entire bear market doing nothing but building and trying to create the best possible application on Base. And so that's a testament, I think, of the project and the team itself. Many gaming coins, as you guys should hopefully know, have actually jumped ship, right, during this bear market period, or are just coming online now because they know the alt season, big, massive gains are on their way. So it is a testament to the team and is a testament to what the incentives of the team are. And you can see they've raised over $14 million, but from the community. So they had no VC interest, all right? So we don't have anyone to perpetually dump on us as the price of Medicaid gets higher. Now, the really crazy part about Medicaid hasn't even been mentioned yet, and I'll get to that in just 1 second, but I do want to say as well that you can see here the circulating supply is 82% circulation. So again, in addition to the fact that they have no VCs, most of the tokens are out in circulation, okay? So there's no like major unlocks to scare people. They're not even really on a major exchange. And what this tells me is that, again, when we have a gaming pump, which is bound to happen, and as we can see, Medicaid does exceptionally well, if we blow on an alt season, what's going to happen if Medicaid gets on a centralized exchange like Coinbase, like Binance? It is in the Coinbase ecosystem after all. And if you have a look at the big partnership update here with Coinbase, I do think it is inevitable that we do see a partnership or an official listing on Coinbase. They're proud to announce that Medicaid has been selected as a partner of Base. Okay, so I think a listing's guaranteed to launch their new layer 3 app chain. Long story short, what an app chain is, it's a level 3. So as we know, in this mix of things, we have Ethereum as a layer 1, we have Coinbase Base app as layer 2, now we have Medicaid not just as an application on Base, but actually as a layer 3 under the Base layer 2, which means that Medicaid is going to have its own purpose-built blockchain, essentially supported by Base, which is incredible because this allows Medicaid to scale out and have their own unique ecosystem in Base. And what that means is super fast transactions, super cheap fees, and when these transactions happen, when people use Medicaid's kind of ecosystem here of gaming AI projects, it's going to be burning more of the supply. They've already burned 22 million Medicaid tokens. So with more utility that this app chain brings on, they're going to be burning a lot more as well. They already have quite an extensive ecosystem, as you can see here, but when you provide these games or these developers with a much faster layer 3 framework that is purpose-built from Medicaid to create them, it's going to likely spur up a lot more interest. Just like you guys know with the layer 1 flywheel, the more third-party developers you have, so the more applications you have built on like a layer 3, for example, the more utility you create, therefore the more end users, and therefore the bigger the community gets. This is what Medicaid is trying to target with this app chain in collaboration with Coinbase themselves. And when Coinbase launches their Base app, users will be allowed to play any game built on this new app chain in Medicaid, okay, directly in the app itself, which is just incredible to think about because there is so much potential growth here. The app chain itself looks like it will be launching sometime very, very soon on their roadmap. So this may work perfectly when the Base app goes out of beta into full open use. Now, the next coin here is super exciting as well. This is a layer 1 project built on Base, at least right now. What could it possibly be? It's Kita. KTA is the ticker. Now, this one gained a lot of attention recently, and it has obviously pumped up quite a bit. Full disclosure again, just like the other coins on this list so far, I actually do own some KTA tokens. I actually bought some today, believe it or not. So I'll always be 100% transparent with you guys. You don't have to worry about that at all, right? So yeah, KDA right now at 75 cents. I do think this is a contender here for some pretty huge growth. I don't want to give away price predictions yet on this video, but the reason why we have KTA as a layer 1, okay? But on Base, which is a dApp, is because a lot of projects tend to have what's called their TGE, or their token generation event. So where they launch their token initially, get a bunch of interest, then they migrate to their own layer 1 project, which is what KTA will be doing very soon. And just like we see with Medicaid, there's no like major centralized exchanges that we do have KTA listed on. So all of the 300 million market cap of interest right now has just come through applications. And put it this way, I myself hate using some DEXs because I'm very much so a guy of simplicity. I don't have a lot of time. I like to be very quick, and I don't have a lot of money on MetaMask, for example. So I don't like buying through these, let alone someone who's new to crypto. So when you think about it, once a coin like Medicaid or KTA here launches on a centralized exchange, like funnily enough, we have KTA on the eyeballs of Kraken to be listed, it's going to create so much more interest and demand, and this usually is a good catalyst for an immediate pump, whether it lasts or not. Now, for those who don't know what KTA is, the layer 1, but it's looking to connect the financial system around the tokenization space. Now, apparently the TPS is actually tested as 11 million. I don't know how real that is. It says it has been independently verified, so I guess we have to take it at face value, but that's very, very quick. And with sub 500 millisecond time to finality, that's incredible, because finality is just as important as TPS. This is how long it takes for that transaction to be absolutely unequivocally verified by the consensus algorithm, so the protocol itself. Now, these guys have a lot up their belt. Most importantly, they are backed by Eric Schmidt, who is the ex-CEO of Google. Yes, it's incredible. I checked this guy out. He doesn't invest in a lot of coins. So, you know, it's very interesting to see he has picked KTA here, so keep that in the back of your mind. We also had a shout out to KTA from the guy Jesse, who actually is the founder of the Base chain itself. They recently collaborated here with Solo. These guys have like 100 different banks as investors, and they partnered with them to create Solo Pass, which is a digital certificate that consolidates fragmented financial credentials into a verified identity. What does that mean? Essentially, part of the beautiful thing about Kita is that it allows you to create a digital ID, so that basically you don't have to go ahead and use and create different IDs for different protocols. You have one online presence ID, like a passport, that essentially you can use any platform online to buy, you know, tokenized stocks or property, whatever it may be. So it's one of their kind of unique selling points, I guess you could say. And they've created this Solo Pass here in collaboration with a massive data infrastructure platform here, being Solo. So this is really good, again, for seamless lending, peer-to-peer credit, and on-chain financial reputation. So again, small coin, high upside. Right now, it's a Base ecosystem project, but it won't be for much longer. They do plan to have their mainnet, I think, very soon, sometime in the next few months here. So let me know what your favorite Base coin is down below and the reasons why. And with that being said, guys, for those who have made it this far, yes, I did sing Sean Kingston, Beautiful Girls in the Shower this morning because you hit the like button. So I appreciate that, actually. The neighbors really appreciated the symphony because, believe it or not, I do have a fantastic singing voice. So if you hit a like on this video right now, I promise you tomorrow morning, the neighbors will love you for this. I'm going to sing Justin Timberlake, Sexy Back, and I promise you I will not record it. Yeah, anyway. Thanks, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.